You can set us free. Even in the valley of the shadow of death, I can take rest, cause the living God is living in my chest. Every day I wake up feeling blessed, and even if I don't, I see it as a test. Cause I was lost until you found me. Now I know you're all around me. Nothing I could ever do separate my love from you. You came to set us free. You came to set us free. I am no longer bound.
Welcome to another session of Roots and Revelation. I have with me, I call her Mother Ball, but the church calls her Elder Ball. I thank you for coming and joining me on Roots and Revelation. I think that this is the conversation that we're going to have. I think is really helpful because you are a seasonal, or should I say, seasoned, you're a seasoned saint, and I always love to receive from people that are seasoned. And I think it's most important that we don't think that we know it all.
No.
And so that we can, no matter what your title is in the Lord's church, or no matter who you are in the world, that the older people have something to say. Not that you're old,
Right. No.
but you've been around a little bit longer than I have been. And so I just want to let you know that I'm grateful that you have accepted this invitation to have a conversation with me. And what I first want to say is um, people know your daughter from a new perspective. I think I had her up there. And Pastor Fee, I call her Apostle. Apostle Fee is, what's the church called? It's called
The Freedom Church NJ.
the Freedom Church in J. She's from the Freedom Church. And
Yeah.
I don't know, you could correct me. Are you the mother of the church?
Well, I'm not. I'm the grandmother of the church. I put it like that because everybody calls me grandma.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I just got ordained as her associate pastor.
Okay.
A few months ago.
Mhm.
So, all this is kind of new to me in terms of being with my daughter.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
us, me helping her with her church. And,
Yeah.
we're getting it off the ground. It's getting off the ground and it's forming real beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get to that because
Okay. All right.
I think there's something that you can say to that. As a matter of fact, a lot that you can say when it comes to that. So, you said you just was ordained as the associate pastor of Freedom Church, uh, and you said you're just getting like used to this. Have you ever been a pastor before?
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I have been ordained as an ordained elder
Mhm.
since 2001,
Mhm.
right? And so I have been doing this for a really long time.
Mhm.
I came from a church where basically my bishop, she was a trailblazer.
Mhm.
She was like one of the first women that, you really heard bishop. It was still really not a lot of people, especially when you're talking about organization wise.
Yeah.
They did not really accept women, not as a bishop.
Yeah.
And certainly not her starting her own organization.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And she was the presiding prelate over. So she kind of set us all up for this time.
Mhm.
When we first got ordained, it was quite a few of us, like maybe 17 or 19 of us. So a
Mhm.
lot of people looked at it like, oh, yes, it's heavy and the church is so small.
Mhm.
But, she actually was really, she seen us where we were.
Yeah.
And, where we were going,
Yeah.
not actually where we
Yeah.
were. So
Uh-huh.
I always have this thing where I say that, because you asked me the question, in terms of pastor, do I feel like, have I always been in that
Mhm.
pastorate kind of position, or do I feel like it's no? it doesn't feel new to me at all.
Okay.
Okay, because I've been doing it for a long time, as I said, and I always have this thing that I say: all pastors, all pastors are elders, but
Mhm.
not all elders are pastors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
I feel like
agree.
I've been,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's always good to come from good stock, you know. And I happened to see uh, a video of your pastor before,
mm,
and boy, that woman was preaching. She was preaching, and I can tell from not just what she was saying, I could tell from viewing her that she lived it, and she had such great conviction of what she taught, and I can tell that those who were under her or under her tutelage, if you will, that they were well taught. They were really well taught, and I remember first meeting you. I remember first meeting you, and I said, "Wow, Pastor Fee, she really has a jewel with her." But I also understand the dynamics of how difficult things can be between a daughter and a mother, mother daughter, or son father, or however the
yeah,
dynamics may go. It may be very difficult, especially when the child is, if you say, if you will, is really the head, and then the parent has to come under that child that they raise. You understand?
yeah,
And then like being able to balance the separation between your relationship in the natural
hmm
versus the spiritual, and the dynamics that you hold, that you come from somewhere else, and the way you were taught. And I want to, before we get to you and your child, I
okay,
want to talk about how you were taught when it comes to the things when you were with your pastor, your bishop.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, first of all, I wasn't raised up in the church.
Okay.
I wasn't raised up in the church.
Mhm.
I actually, um, but God was always with me. I'll
Mhm.
put it like that. I wasn't raised with God. I've always had a relationship with God.
Mhm.
Um, one is because I came from a very abusive kind of, home. My
Mhm.
mother was very abusive,
Uh
so
huh.
it kind of thrust me in the face of God.
Mm.
So I always had a relationship, although I did not know him. I always felt that I always talked to him,
Mhm.
out of fear, really, out of
Yeah.
fear.
Uh huh.
And when I actually did get saved, I was my pastor's armor bearer for 25 years. So
Mm.
I took care of Bishop. I loved taking care of her. It was a passion. It wasn't a thing where like that was a calling.
Mhm.
And that's what I try to tell people all the time. When there's a difference from a call and you just being someone's
Yes.
adjutant.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I was called to her, and it was not always easy,
Mhm.
but what taught me how to be where I am now
Mhm.
in terms of leadership
Mhm.
is that it wasn't even Bishop that taught me; it was God who taught me.
Yeah. That's
God taught
good.
me.
That's good.
I'm a lover of the word anyway.
Mhm.
But when I was younger, I think because of my background and all the turmoil that I kind of went through,
Mhm.
I found safety in God.
Mhm.
So I always read the word.
Mhm.
I'm like that kind of person. Like God gives me revelation through the word.
Yeah.
Some people can hear it audible, but the written word, I want to know where is it at in the word.
Yeah.
And so by me reading the word, God taught me how to respect leadership.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to go back to that point of what you said, because you said, like, I'm paraphrasing because I
Yeah.
can't
No.
remember exactly. Like, it wasn't easy. It was so if it wasn't easy and it wasn't, it was hard, or however you worded it. How did you get through it? And I understand what you mean by the word, but how did you live the word in serving your bishop?
Um, well, first of all, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a passion for something, it makes it easier
Yeah.
for you. Um, So when it came down to Bishop taking care of her, I think that is just a part of my nature.
Mhm.
I am like I'm very good at hospitality. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So and I guard well. So I love taking care of
Yeah.
people. And I think because I've always been in that position, even though I was, like I said, I was young,
Mhm.
but when I was young, I was old.
Mhm.
So I basically took care of my sisters and
Yeah.
them, like 12, 13 years old.
Mhm.
Like I was running a whole house,
Mhm.
And so it was, so I've always been in that leadership kind
Mhm.
of in
Role.
charge,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think it's important what you said, and I really think it's powerful and that it can be used, especially in these times when people find it hard to honor, leadership. Because you said it's not really that Bishop taught me, God taught me through the word of how to, how to treat my bishop or how to do my bishop. And when you are, because you said you're a lover of the word, when you love the word, you love God, you love his people
Yeah.
that he has called, and you want to please him in your servitude towards that individual. I think that's powerful what
Oh
you
yeah.
said.
Oh yeah. The thing with me is, when it came down to Bishop, we didn't. It was not always easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have a lot of strong personalities. She was a
Yeah.
strong woman, and on top of it, me and her birthday was the same day, so she used to always say, Tanya, boy, you're because she didn't have any biological children of her
Mm-hmm.
own, but
Mm-hmm.
yet she has many
Mm-hmm.
spiritual daughters and sons,
Yeah.
right? But she's always say, Tanya, boy, you're my birthday gift. So
Wow.
yeah. So although I was her armor bearer, she had many armor bearers, but like I was her armor bearer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I traveled with her.
Mm-hmm.
I was at her house all the
Yeah.
time. We didn't always agree about a lot of
Yeah.
different things, but even in that, the Lord taught me to how to be able to deal with my bishop and stay in a good place with God.
Yeah. That's
Because
good.
because you can really get into some dangerous. Um, you put yourself in danger with God when you uncover and unfold leadership.
Oh my
Yeah.
woman of God.
Yeah.
You just said a mouthful right there. Because when God entrusts you with this job, you have access to something that others don't.
Exactly.
And so you're able to see things others cannot see.
Absolutely.
And so if God trusts you with it, he needs to be not just with the position, he needs to be able to trust you with what you see and what you hear. And you said it is you can get yourself in a lot of trouble unfolding and unveiling what God has entrusted you with.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's really major. And we see it. Everything that I kind of mimic my life up. I always look in the Bible.
Mhm.
Everything that we go through in life, it is there.
Yes.
There is a reference, and even like with uh, I want to say, um, was it Noah and his daughters when they came out? There was no men there, and they was like, we have to. Actually, let me just go. I'm not even going to deal with the daughters. Let
Okay.
me deal with the
The
sons.
sons.
Let me deal with the sons. It was his son, right, when he got drunk,
Mm-hmm.
and his oldest son went and uncovered him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he found he got himself in trouble with God
Mhm.
because he exposed his nakedness. But
Mhm.
the other son went backwards
Mm-hmm.
to cover his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual. We
Spiritual.
have to really be careful when you come, because a lot of times people do want to get up close with the
Yeah.
pastors.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But they can't always really handle what they see because they have that. They also have that flesh side of them as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you got to know how to be able to separate it,
Mhm.
right, and still respect.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of that, and even
No. Say what you was finished, because yeah, I go ahead.
but even with that, there were times when the Lord would tell me, "Listen, I don't want you to go to Bishop's house. I
Mhm.
don't want you to go here.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to be at every table setting. You don't have to be in every every space with her.
Mhm.
You know, and it wasn't just for her, but it was also for me.
Yes.
Yeah, it was for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. You just opened up something else, right? I was gonna go another place, but you just went. That's good because sometimes when you get common with a person, you think you have a sense of entitlement to something because God uses you in that capacity. And I love where you said like the Lord was dealing with you where you said you don't go to her house, don't go there with her because we can we can believe that this is just what I supposed to get out the deal, if you
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
She was a very generous. Bishop was well, first of all, Bishop, she's a well-known. She was an evangelical pastor,
Mhm.
number one.
Mhm.
She was an evangelist before she became a pastor,
Mhm.
but she also was raised up in the PAW, so she was well-known. Her
Mhm.
father actually, I want to say the whole New Jersey district
Mhm.
basically came out of her father, Bishop
Mm.
Saunders Church, right?
Mm.
And so we didn't know her father, but we knew her father was a
Right.
bishop,
Yes. Yeah.
So she was taught well. She was well known. So when it was time for her to get ready to step in another direction in terms of building her own organization,
Mhm.
yes, there was a lot of opposition there, but it was
Mhm.
also a lot of respect there. So you had a
Mhm.
lot of Nicodemus at night. They were, coming in and they were with her, but they just openly would not.
Woman of God, you said you said there was a lot of Nicodemus.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you gotta let's stick with you. Let's
Okay.
just stick with because we gotta understand when God places you in a place, you gotta make sure you don't become an opportunist
Yes.
because of the opportunities that you receive from God because He trusted you with a thing. And that's the way you honor not only the individual, but you also honor God in the same way. Wow.
The thing of it is, uh, which we have a lot of now. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? You have people, they are opportunists. They're
Yes.
with the leader because they
Mm-hmm.
want to be seen. They want,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I actually used to teach armor bearers how to be armor bearers.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it wasn't even because I wanted to. It's just that people, because Bishop was well known, and
Mm-hmm.
so she was all over everywhere. So I was in a lot of spaces that I would not have normally been
Mm-hmm.
without Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've heard a lot of things, and I've been around a lot of things. And the thing with Bishop is, people used to always see me taking care of her,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes not that you're trying to be a certain kind of way, but you can be anointed to do a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that anointing will attract other people.
Yes.
So a lot of pastors would say, Bishop, I want you to have others,
Mm-hmm.
my people,
Mm-hmm.
and so I trained a lot of them that came out of GET,
Mm-hmm.
not knowingly, it's now that Bishop has gone on and be with the
The
Lord,
Lord. Yeah.
a lot of them has transcended into other churches with
Mm-hmm.
other pastors,
Mm-hmm.
and they are doing what I used to do,
Yeah.
but it's more to it than just carrying her,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
her garment bag,
Mm-hmm.
and giving her water
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. You really have to make sure that you stay in a place of servanthood,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, because that's what you don't see now. Everybody, you don't need one bishop. You got six adjutants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are little turnoffs for me.
Mm-hmm.
And also you got to know where. Um, so I know how to discern very well when it comes down. I'm very keen
Yeah.
with discerning.
So let's speak to that. Let's speak to that. I knew this was going to be a good conversation. Let's speak to that because I believe that it's a necessity to have someone that is with you that is able to discern that you're not, you don't have to tell them what they need to see or need to hear. It is something that they should carry um, as a tool, if you will, to help assist you in what God has called you to do.
Well, here's the thing, right? When it comes down to an armor bearer, right? The armor bearer is the frontline soldier for the pastor. They are the ones. When you look at David, and you look at Saul, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? He was on the front line for him,
Mhm.
and so you should be able to. The pastor should be able to one be able to draw strength from the armor bearer.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yes.
My pastor Bishop, she was a very, very uh, spiritual woman of
Mhm.
God. You know,
Mhm.
so Bishop, listen, she can discern. Listen, when you off, she know it, and
Mhm.
she ain't gonna let you take care of her. You know,
Mhm.
she'll be like, mm-mm. Or like the way things were set up at at GET, we had a first nurse and we had a second nurse.
Mhm.
The first nurse on Sundays
Mhm.
took care of Bishop.
Yeah.
The second nurse took care of the pulpit.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, and it's just the way that it was because of the organization. We always
Yeah.
was thinking bigger and on a bigger scale
Yeah.
than what we actually were. Um,
Wait. You just said something right there. You just said something right there. You throwing too many nuggets out
so
here, but that is so important that you said you all were able to think on a bigger scale than what you were.
yeah,
And I think that is so important to understand, not see where you are, but where you may be going or should be going. Yeah.
it wasn't us; it was her.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bishop was she was the kind of woman of God, like she was in charge of the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had pastors, assistant pastors, and all that, but Bishop was the pastor.
Right.
You know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You knew it. But the thing with Bishop, she when it came down to me, I'm going to talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
She respected who I was
Mhm.
because she knew who I was in terms of my spirituality.
Yes.
You
Uh-huh.
know, um, I was young, but I would like stay in the church literally.
Mm-hmm.
I could stay in the church for like 12, 13 hours
Mm-hmm.
a day.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like what's on for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
And so your pastor should know who you are, what you possess, what you have. You know, so one thing about her, Bishop knew there was times even with me, she would say, now, Tanya Barr, listen, I want to talk to you from an elder's point. She
Mhm.
said, so I want you. So she would ask me certain questions because there are certain things that she knows that I'm not going to say. I'll be like, you didn't taught us that we can't talk about the past.
Yeah.
You know. But she said, I'm not talking to that right now. Right now, I'm talking to the elder. I need you to talk to me because she respected the God that
Yeah.
was in me and the words that was coming out. Because although I was young,
Mhm.
I was very sound
Yeah. Yeah.
and really, really settled. I was young, but I really did not have any young friends.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was somewhat like you. I was always with the mothers.
Mhm.
You know, I
Mhm.
was the youngest, but always with the mothers.
Yeah.
Every mother that was at NGET, I was with them.
Yeah.
Because I opened up a church for them.
Mhm.
Their job was to pray for the pastor, so they did shut-ins and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So those things was part of who I was, so
Yeah.
it wasn't really hard for me to do.
You know, you said something. You said she respected you. And I know you said respect, but when you said it, I heard she trusted you.
Oh yeah,
And a lot
absolutely.
of times, that's what a pastor or a leader needs. They need to be able to trust the God in whoever is there. And so it was like that you were able to also, because of her pour, you was also able to pour into her, and she was able to consider the things that you said because how you stayed in the word, how you stayed in prayer, how you wanted to please God, and all those, those things that everyone should want to be. But I think that's missing in the church today, where you can have, I won't say all churches, but you can have a trusted voice from those you shepherd.
You should have.
You should. You should.
You know,
Yeah.
it's funny that you said that because I had There are a lot of people that came out of the loins of Bishop Webb, and I
Mhm.
mean, there are some that even if I was to name names, you would know. You would be like, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
there's so many of them," you
Mhm.
know. And I was just speaking to one of them, very well known, and I said, "Who do you have in your church that you could trust?
Mhm.
But you need
You
somebody.
need
You
somebody.
need somebody."
Yes.
And we didn't go into a lot, and but it has been on me. Um, it is sad even when you have been in because see, it's about legacy as well,
Yes.
right? And you need someone like even with my my daughter's husband,
Mhm.
um, he's been under his grandfather for many years. Although Bishop has passed and gone on,
Mhm.
Shaw is his legacy. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? That is his legacy. And, because of whatever, things have, are not where they need to be at. But
Mhm.
his grandfather has his own street
Mhm.
in North
Mhm.
that he pastored for decades.
Yeah.
When he passed, they made that street Bishop Willie
Yeah.
Hamilton Boulevard,
Yeah.
And now that he's gone and things have happened, within, whatever, um, there are some things that's, is just not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So, it made me think about legacy, his legacy.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you, like, legacy is not just when you hear; it's after you leave. How
Absolutely.
and you even spoke to the point of Bishop Webb about how many people have come from her loins, and how the success that they have because they have come from her, and even talking about your son-in-law, where what his father has done,
His grandfather.
grandfather has
Hmm.
done. We want to uh, assure that the legacy that they leave behind, that we don't taint it, or we don't damage it because of lack of character. I'm just going to leave it
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
because of lack of character. And so that's why, to the point of what you made, I think it's very important that that they have trusted voices, not even in now's time, but after they leave this earth, that they could trust that what they put or install in you
Hmm.
will remain and not bring a stain, if you will, to what they have established. And I think we have to be responsible
Yes. Absolutely.
and accountable
Hmm.
to those things, because it's such a shame that they have worked so hard and they have done so many wonderful and great things, but sometimes we get caught up and cause things to
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
be
Yeah.
questioned, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah. When I think of legacy in terms of Bishop, she didn't have her biological children,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But she had a niece and a nephew that she basically raised, from they were young. So when
Mhm.
she started the church, that they always been with her,
Mhm.
right? But then when Bishop started, when she didn't really come off the field because she
Mhm.
evangelized for many years.
Mhm.
She was the evangelical pastor, right?
Mhm.
But when she started pastoring, she was still operating under the
Mhm.
evangelist, right? But then when she switched hats and she became pastor, just said, you know what, I got to get ready to come off the field because I'm getting ready to start my own organization.
Mhm.
God started taking her from, different stages in her life,
Mhm.
right? Um, sometimes people feel like they are, I just want to make sure that I say it the right way, that they are entitled to
Mhm.
certain things because they started first.
Right.
It really doesn't
And
matter
don't,
where you
yeah,
start.
you're right.
It matters where you
Mhm.
end.
Mhm.
And although Bishop did not have any biological children of
Mhm.
her own, she had birthed a lot of
Yeah.
daughters and sons,
Yeah.
right? And even when it comes, so even now, people say, well, you always talk about Jesus. You've been there for 25. So when I say I've been there for 25, they say it with me. Yes, and I'm very proud
Yeah.
of my beginnings. I'm
Mhm.
very proud of to say that I am a daughter of Bishop Carolyn M.
Yeah.
Webb. A lot of people are like, well, she's gone and she's that. No, she's gone, but her legacy is
She
still
lives.
here,
It
and
lives
it
on.
lives through
Yeah,
us. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So I would
absolutely.
never stop talking about Bishop
Yeah,
until there is no more me.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but she would always be a part of my
yeah.
conversation.
Because you know what she has placed on the inside of you.
Yeah,
You understand the sacrifice
and
and yeah,
I honor what Bishop has put inside of us. Just like we didn't know her father,
yeah.
we didn't know Bishop Saunders.
Mhm.
You know, well, he never became a bishop. He was elder. He
Yeah.
never became a bishop. But honestly, he that's who he was because he
Mhm.
birthed all the New Jersey
Mhm.
district. They
Mhm.
all became past. I mean bishops. You
Mhm.
know, but he was well gone.
Yeah.
We never actually physically was with him, but
Mhm.
we know him through Bishop.
Yeah.
You know.
So while we're talking about honor and you being with what you say GT for 25 years.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yep.
And um you really that honor was really cultivated within that organization. How do you deal with being I don't want to say transcend, but how do you come from there to where you are now being under your daughter? What is the difficulty
Mhm.
and what are the sweet spots, if you
Okay.
will?
Well, let me talk about the sweet spots first.
Okay.
The sweet spots is where she is. I already seen that. I already
Mhm.
knew who she was before
Mhm.
she was even, you know, where she is.
Mhm.
She is the one that never wanted to be in this place that she
Mm.
is. You know, I remember there was a time, even when her and her husband departed, we were in the car and I was like, well, you got to get ready to, you have to, go ahead and get ready to, take the church to the next level. She's like, I don't want to be no pastor. That's what you want to do. You go ahead and do it. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to just keep going to church. That's not who I am. I'm not
Yeah.
going to, you know what I'm saying? It was just a lot of dynamics there.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
she was in a very a hurtful place.
Mhm.
And the thing of it is, I had never ever lived with my daughter. I've always been the one, a caretaker,
Yeah.
if I would say.
Mhm.
So I always housed a lot of people in my house. I
Yeah.
raised my sister, their sons,
Mhm.
my sister's daughter, even though they don't give me the respect now, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, this is who I was and this is what I've done.
Mhm.
And so I was in my townhouse for like 20 something years,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
the they sold that whole
Development.
development. Yes,
Mhm.
they sold that whole development. So they actually paid me to leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they paid
Mhm.
me to leave. And so because I have been in that particular townhouse, like I was the first one to ever live. God gave it to me brand new. No one
Mhm.
ever lived in there but me,
Yeah.
right? And so to go from that, trying to find an apartment,
Mhm.
it was very difficult because I was used to having so much.
Yeah.
And so trying to go into like a garden apartment, it was just like smoke and all these
Yeah.
different things.
That you weren't used to.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
used to a certain kind of aesthetic.
Mhm.
So I ended up going to go stay with my daughter and my son-in-law, which it was only supposed to be for 1 year until I
Yeah.
find me a place. But I
Mhm.
had no idea that God was really ordering my footsteps. I
Yeah.
had no idea what was getting ready to take place
Mhm.
in their lives and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So God had me there for, such a time as it was,
Right.
all the things that had
Yeah.
transpired and everything like that. So, even with Fee, she never ever wanted to be in this position that she's in. But the thing of it is, she's always been a visionary.
Uh-huh.
She's a visionary. She has so much vision that sometimes you have to say like, okay, you gotta slow it down some because
Yeah.
you're
Because she
moving.
sees so much.
She
Yeah.
sees so much, but you got to know how to
Mhm. So
hold on.
how does that work when she's the pastor and you know what you used to and you know what you believe you see and you know what you believe you hear. How do you submit yourself to?
Um, well, it's not easy.
Mhm.
Okay, it's
Mhm.
not easy. There are the few times I left.
Mhm.
Okay, I left, but there are some things that I'm still kind of mature in. So okay, even though I wasn't physically there, my ties are still there.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things that I'm just used to
Mhm.
doing.
Mhm.
Um, but I needed to be able to. I'm not one to go church hopping.
Yeah.
So, but also there is a lot of people that know me.
Mhm.
And I'm very stabilized.
Mhm.
So even with me getting you know, a little upset with her in
Yeah.
certain things.
Mhm.
And I felt like, you know what, we need some space.
Uh-huh.
I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, where can I go where people won't be like, oh, what's here, what's going on?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want, it was already a lot going on.
And you didn't want to add to.
I didn't want to add to it.
Okay.
So I
Mhm.
asked the Lord, where can I go where I can just be still?
Mhm.
So he sent me to my friend, one of my pastor friends. She was just starting her church. She
Mhm.
had, maybe 10, 15 people,
Mhm.
but it was safe.
Yeah.
I knew her. We grew up together at GET.
Yeah.
So she was one of my comrades. She was also my sister in Christ. We
Mhm.
lived together.
Mhm.
She lived with me several times in her
Mhm.
lifetime when she was born. And she's a nurse now as well, and a pastor,
Yeah.
and the evangelist.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But I went there for a little bit.
So so how did you end up coming back? Because you used the phrase that that you was angry about a few things or whatever.
Mhm.
So how did God deal with you?
Well, here's the thing. There are times, I'm going to be very frank. Even though she's a pastor, we have screams. Okay.
Okay.
It's nothing. Like we respect each other, but we
Mhm.
do have moments where we're screaming at each other.
Where
Like,
it's
Mom,
like it's not, because I want to help the people, because I don't
Mhm.
want them to think anything different. It's not I'm screaming at my pastor. It's I'm talking to my daughter.
I'm talking to my daughter, yes, and she let me know. Don't talk to me like that because I'm your pastor. And I say,
Okay.
okay, yeah, you are my pastor, but you know what? Right now, we're going to table it because I feel the way that I feel. I'm very passionate about what I feel. I'm not one to, but I also respect God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, you can't get around that part of it.
Yeah. This is why I'm having the conversation, because I want to help people to understand, like, the dynamics of this is not always easy.
It's not easy.
It's not always easy because of the relationship you have, and you know each other's business. You understand what I'm like? You
Yeah.
know each other's business, but there's always a coming together where I believe that both parties need to hear the Lord in order to keep what God it has or is establishing within His kingdom, so that that what He is doing is running properly, and that other people will not be hindered or broken by it, or even given permission to do other things to the pastor
Oh,
because
no.
of what they believe or what they see. Because how you first started off is like, I didn't always agree with Bishop Webb,
No.
but because of who God is to me, and
But I
that's
respect
yeah.
Bishop. I didn't always agree, but even in your even in
Mhm.
your disagreement, you have to be respectful.
Yeah.
You have to be very, very careful because remember, Saul was trying to kill David numerous times,
Mhm.
right? And even when his armor bearer said to him, when they seen Saul sleeping in the cave, he said, "Listen, this day God has um, delivered him into your
Mhm.
hands." And he said, "Who can touch God's anointed and be
Yes.
guiltless?"
Yes.
So you have to be very, very careful. It doesn't matter whether because God had already snatched the kingdom from Saul,
Mhm.
but Saul was still in position,
Yes. Yes.
right? David, David was anointed several times before he actually went into that place.
Mhm.
So when you understand who God is and and who they are in God,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It will cause you to really, really, back away with some things.
Yeah.
I don't really care. Like mother has one place, pastor has another place.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, she is my pastor,
Mhm.
right? The other part of it is that I'm her mother, but she also knows that I'm a woman of God.
Yes.
Like she,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm.
didn't just come a
Yeah.
mother,
Mhm.
of God when she started her church.
She herself has told me that,
Yeah.
like, she comes to you
Mhm.
for to be advised
Oh
sometimes,
yeah.
because of your wisdom, because of the
Mhm.
things that you know, you seen, you heard, you've been through.
Mhm.
There are some things that she comes to you about, and I think um, that part needs to be fine tuned in the body of Christ because we can be the head of something, and I'm saying we because I'm more closer to your daughter's
Yes.
age than
Yes.
I am to
Mhm.
your age.
Mhm.
That we can be in a place because God has placed us in a place, but we should never forget that there are people that might not hold the position that we hold that can help us along the way. We should never get the big head. We should never think that someone can't counsel us or
Mhm.
tell us something because we're not at the in that place. They're not in that place that we are. And at the same time, this is why I think this conversation is so important because at the same time, in your position, knowing that I know all of this, I still yet have to honor and respect what God is doing. That's why I love what you used with the scriptures about Saul and
Yeah.
David. Yeah.
The other part of it is too, um, you know, Shafiqua knows me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different from when you have a mother that's just going to church.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Listen. I live this thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
I've lived it. I've mentored many
Mhm.
young people that's her
Mhm.
age. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of I have a lot of respect in the church world. Those that know me. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, it's not a lot that know me, but it's a lot that know me,
Mhm.
you know, because I've always been very stabilized. I've never been one um, that just went from church to church.
Yeah.
I don't follow after prophets and all that
Oh
old
yeah,
kind of
I know
stuff. You
that
know,
about you.
I don't do that
Yeah.
because I always believe that, you know, I believe, first of all, Bishop held the fivefold ministry.
Mhm.
She did. She was a very powerful woman of
Mhm.
God, you know,
Mhm.
well respected.
Mhm.
Um, and so, honestly, I walked very close with her.
Mhm.
I was with her all the time. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, there were days that I would be like, you know, I don't always want to be around Bishop.
Mhm.
Bishop be like, honey, Paul, that's your friend Aunt Tilly.
Yeah.
Aunt Tilly, 60-something years old. I'm like, no, I don't want to be
I
with Aunt
was so
Tilly, right? You know,
right.
and well, tell you
Yeah.
what, you got to be with me, and
Yeah.
you know, all that kind of stuff. But
So let me
I,
ask you this.
mhm.
How do you handle rebuke from your pastor?
I handle it like everybody else. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes um, you know, it can be very crushing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But the thing of it is, I'm a prayer word, like
Mhm.
built on
Prayer.
prayer.
Mhm.
That DNA that's in Shafiqua Hamilton, that's my DNA.
That's your
Okay,
DNA.
and I always tell her that.
Yeah.
Listen, her legacy is my legacy.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't get saved because of her. I'm the one that said yes, and it slid the door for
Yeah.
all of my family
Yeah.
to get into that
I think
place.
that's beautiful what you said. You said, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. Her legacy is my
Oh
legacy.
yeah.
And that means that what she does and what she represents not only um, represents her, but it represents me too. And so it is my greatest desire
Yeah.
that my daughter succeed,
Oh,
that my
absolutely.
daughter be all
Absolutely.
that God has her to be,
Mhm.
because that comes from, that was birthed from out of me, what
Yeah.
God used me to. Yeah, I think that's powerful.
Because the Bible says that I will bless your children,
Mhm.
right, and your children's children.
Mhm.
So although I'm young and old, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I got you.
God allowed me to be able to see my daughter in
Mhm.
her height.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
to even watch my granddaughter to see Jada, you know,
Yes.
leading praise and
Yeah.
worship, and Jazz playing the drums, and
Mhm.
Jordan able. There is so much stuff in them that that hasn't, you know, eyes have not even seen.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so I.
Let me ask you this, because
Mhm.
this is good to me.
Okay.
Um, how do you? Because I asked this to an older pastor as well. How do you mesh or gel together with the younger generation?
Here's the thing,
Mhm.
right? Here, she has helped me with that.
Mhm.
She has helped me with that. You
Mhm.
know, I come from a lot of tradition,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and pretty much the kind of person, I don't really like a lot of change all
Mhm.
fast and
Mhm.
everything. Like I've been on my job for 35 years. I had lived in in my place for 25 years, even before
Mhm.
I came to stay with
Mhm.
B. You know what I'm saying? Like, so everything is very longevity with me.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing about B is the key to anything is respect.
Yeah.
If you respect what's inside of them, then you can hear them. You know,
Mm.
you
Mm.
can hear. I don't hear her, but I hear God. And she used to always say, like, Mom, you got to change. You got to.
Mhm.
And if there is a lot of young people, they just take to me, and I don't even understand why. Because it's not even like I am that kind of person where I'm around a lot of young
Yeah.
people and like to be
Yeah.
like I'm always home.
Yeah.
I go from work to home to
Mhm.
church, work, home, church. That's not good because even my son, I have a son too.
Mhm.
My son, he's been incarcerated
Uh-huh.
for like 14 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but he's getting ready. He's getting ready to come home soon.
Mhm.
And even with my son, he even with him being in prison, I
Yeah.
brought this up to say, listen, if he call, he's like, listen, my mom is there. I know my mom. My mom
Yeah.
is it. Just keep calling. She
Yeah.
there. He knows that I'm doing the same thing. I'm very
Mhm.
rigid. I need to get out of that, but that is who I am. So, B has helped me.
She has helped you with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with like, Mom, you have to change. There's so many young people. Uh, I don't really take to people that well.
Mhm.
I don't open up my
Would you
space
would you
like
say
that.
you guard it?
Very much
Yeah.
so. Very
Uh-huh.
much so. Yeah.
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 Too much though.
Yeah.
Too much. You
No,
have
I understand what
caution.
you mean with she's speaking to you about that change because let me tell you this because you made a statement. I don't understand why the young people is drawn to me. I do. When I first met your daughter and I came to the church, I was drawn to you.
Mm.
I was drawn to you. I don't know what their reason is, but I was drawn to you because I saw you as a real person. I saw you as like being very straightforward.
Oh, yeah,
I
that is
saw
me.
you as I saw like the hunger and thirst of God in you. Like you just tell me the word of God, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
That's
remember
it. Really.
a
Yeah.
time where I called you. I said, I got to tell you what the Lord said. And you was like, tell me.
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
like, tell me what the
Yeah.
Lord said,
Yeah.
And that I appreciate about
Mhm.
you. I really, I'm drawn to that. I don't know if it's because I'm that type of person.
Mhm.
And, but I believe this generation, they like real,
Oh yeah.
they like truth.
Mhm.
Uh, and some may say that they don't like firmness, but in a lot of firmness, it shows that you care.
Yeah.
And I think our children, or this generation, should I say, is much wiser than we believe them
Oh,
to be,
absolutely. Absolutely.
and they
Absolutely.
understand that, okay, that's a real person right there.
Mhm.
That's the person I can count on. That's the person that I can go to. And I think that's what draws them to you.
I think that I'm going to speak from freedom from
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Steve, and I call her Apostle too. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Even before anybody even said, I had put it in my phone because I'm. Let me say this part.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it comes down to her husband, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, I want you to come, I want you to oversee us and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
other, right? And they were, my nephew was with us,
Mm-hmm.
my sister was with us, and he was going to make them elders. He was going to make my nephew a minister. He was
Mm-hmm.
already a deacon or whatever he was, right? And I seen everybody progressing. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, but where's he?
Yeah.
Okay, because we all can't go over her.
Uh-huh.
Like, where is she? And even when she became the pastor,
Uh-huh.
right,
Uh-huh.
of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, okay, um, I'm going to have you to be the associate,
Mm-hmm.
and Tashawn became the executive.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I was going to be the executive
Mm-hmm.
because there was no one there.
Yeah.
But then once he came, and then we started separating some things.
Yeah.
And, he operates better as a
Yeah.
executive than I
Mm-hmm.
do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so with me, oh God, I lost my train of thought now. Oh,
You were saying, where does she fall in? You saw everybody progressing and
Yes,
elevating.
yes.
Yeah.
So even when it came down to her moving us,
Mhm.
right? I told her, I said, "Fee, number one, I didn't need her to tell me this. God told me,
Mhm.
okay, if you're making us the pastor and executive pastor, you can't be pastor
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like people are saying, oh, AP, EP, and listen.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Okay, so Fee, because there has to be, I believe in the delegated authority,
Mhm.
right? There is only one.
Mhm.
There's
You come
God.
from order. That's basically it. You come from order.
Yeah.
You are a orderly. You are a very orderly person.
Yeah.
That's what you are. And I kind of see a little of me in you.
That's good.
Like
That's
when
good.
there is no order, it's like rocky or it's shaky. It seems unbalanced. Like yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm very much like that. Here's the thing with me, right? Because I'm also very prophetic.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I always say, listen, I love what God loves and I hate what
What
he
God
hates.
hates.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I'm very disciplined when it comes down to my spirituality.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not into a lot of I'm not into a
Mess.
lot of doors.
Yeah.
Nah, no. That's not me at all. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes people are very um they are very
Intimidated. Mhm.
they are, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Not that I don't really preach Jesus or anything like that. Like
Mhm.
I just don't. But I am who I am. Like
Yeah.
even on my job, like they I've been there for so long, but they know who I am.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
without me, I'm not walking around with my Bible.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
I got
saying?
what you were
No.
saying. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
I
you know
do
what?
live it.
I think you are in a very great place
Mm.
with your daughter. And I know you said that y'all may experience what y'all experience behind closed doors, but I really believe that you two balance one another off.
I think
And
so.
I believe that both of your hearts are pure towards the things of God
Hmm.
and what needs to take place. And if at all it's possible, you try not to hurt one another.
Yeah.
But however, we have to recognize what the truth is.
Yeah.
We all are human beings.
Mhm.
We all have feelings. We don't always do everything right.
Right.
And I think if we understand that, then we can give our apologies when they need to be given and move on in
Yeah.
Jesus. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that you two are really blessed to have one another. And I thought it was so important to have this conversation because I know how difficult that thing can truly be. And a lot of people don't speak about it. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't have these type of conversations about it. We like to create a appearance like everything is hunky dory. And a lot of times it's really not. It's really a working through a lot of things. And that working through takes a lot of maturity where you will have to humble yourself.
Oh yeah.
She will have to humble
Mhm.
herself. And that you both will have to hear God and come to the agreement that is necessary to make this thing work the way
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Now there are times that I feel like she's like, okay, I'm going to trump this because this is all right. I am
Yeah.
I'm in charge, not you.
Yes.
Okay. And there are some times that I have to back out and say,
Yeah.
okay. And there are some times, too. I used to always say, I used to tell her and her husband all the time, listen, don't put me on the same level as them
Yeah.
because I'm not on the same level as them. But I also think that, the Bible said, know them that labor among
Yes.
you. The thing about when it comes down to me, she knows me.
Yeah.
She knows the God in me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
She respects the God in me. I respect the God in her.
Mhm.
I am the one that pushed her
Yeah.
to her place. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but there are times that she has to discipline me, and I may not like the discipline
Yeah.
when she's doing it in front of people.
Mhm.
I have to humble myself. But there are times, but I don't take everything. A lot of things I don't always like that she does.
Yeah.
But what I do is I'm always in prayer without prayer. And I could be watching TV and still praying.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mhm.
But God does honor my feelings,
Yeah.
my thoughts,
Mhm.
and you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
those things, um, sometimes I'll just say, God, you know, I know that she has the Holy Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Deal with her.
Yeah.
Talk to her.
Hmm.
No, I think that's most important that people should know that it's everything is not a fight. Everything is
Right.
it should be go to God
Yeah.
and God, that's your servant.
Hmm.
This is what I believe you said. This is what I believe I know and I hear. Deal with them accordingly.
Yeah.
And not that you're seeking God on them.
No.
It's that we can come to common ground to do what it is that
Yeah.
we need to do to fulfill your purpose in both her and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and some of it is out of my own hurt, my own pain. Like I
Yeah.
may feel she did
That's
some things that I
good.
don't like,
Yeah.
but instead of me going back and forth, I'll be like, okay, Steve, forget it,
Yeah.
and I'll just have to tuck my little tail in, go on
Yeah.
downstairs, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll tell God, I say, you know what? I feel like I'm not appreciated here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I feel like, I'm hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like they undermine me. I
Yeah.
think that sometimes they speak out of turn when it
Yeah.
comes down to me. And I don't want to be always saying, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like everybody else. So
Yeah.
don't talk to me like I'm
Mhm.
everybody else. I have those moments with her,
Yeah.
or sometimes, she goes out different places and they prophesy to her. And sometimes I'll be like, I'll say this to myself, I don't even want to hear because I didn't already told you that. Or, you know
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Or, see, you always just want to hear where you go ahead on. I don't,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, we just come from two different, I don't want to say backgrounds, but we just have,
Errors.
yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
errors. And I think that's important to acknowledge because when you can acknowledge that, you can see where the
Mhm.
differentiation is,
Yeah.
and that can show you where the struggle may be, and you can deal with it accordingly. I like where you said that, I don't necessarily agree all the time with
No,
what
no.
is happening and what's going on, but I know when I need to remove myself or I need to back up because she is ultimately the one that's going to make the decision because God has placed her over this and she has to make the decision. And I go to God
Yeah.
about my
Yeah.
feelings. And I think it's I don't even want to use mature with you because of where you are, but I think it's really responsible to
Mhm.
say that some things come from my hurt or some things
Oh
come
yeah,
from
yeah,
what
yeah,
I went through
yeah,
that I can see things this way or what I did and acknowledge those because some people will never acknowledge that this is why I feel the way I feel because of what I experienced and I think that's just a very responsible answer because older people,
yeah. Mhm.
I don't want to get in trouble, but sometimes older people won't admit
Oh no,
that
no,
this
no, no,
is
no.
why I feel the way I feel because of what I went through. And you are able to see it from that standpoint to
Mhm.
understand that yeah, I'm feeling this way, but it might not be because of this situation.
Right.
It's because of what I experienced.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot to the audience because we need older people to admit certain
Oh
things
yeah, we don't have
like
it.
that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't have it all. We don't know it all. We don't have it all together. He has really helped mellow me out,
Mhm.
honestly. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because I'm still of that old era. Like
Yeah.
I can't worship in the dark.
Uh-huh.
Once the lights is out,
You like.
listen, I have an attitude,
Mhm.
but she knows me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And she'll pick that up and she'll be like, calm down,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it automatically puts
Mhm.
me into,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I'm learning that, it's just the era that we're in, something, is not all bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, you just said a word right there. You just said everything is not all bad. It
Mm-mm.
might just be something you're not used to.
Exactly.
Or yeah, or
Mhm.
something that you don't that's not your preference.
Yes,
You
it's not my,
understand? Yeah.
because when we used to go to, when she first started at the pool venue, they would
Mhm.
have those lights up, and I would see, don't nobody even know we in here because these lights is out. And, but that was
Yeah.
just my little way. But, she has really mellowed me out.
Mhm.
She has, we're like in our third year
Yeah.
at the Freedom Church,
Mhm.
and, it has been, I have had my highs and lows there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
I felt like in the beginning, You know, I was trying to find myself. I was like, you know,
Mhm.
they don't know me. They don't like me. They, you know,
Mhm.
they like me. They don't like me. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da. And she's
Yeah.
like, Mom, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
But you know, we have we're growing.
Yes.
The church is taking on this form.
Yeah.
You know, we are starting to really love each other. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not like where you're pointing out everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, now we see growth,
Yeah.
you know, in each other. And you know what I'm saying? And it's just it's a beautiful
It
thing.
is. It's
It's a
amazing.
beautiful thing.
I just want to let you know that um you are an intricate part of what God is doing,
Mm.
and that though things may not always be easy or be the way that you desire, or it may be even the way she desired um, to be. Uh, don't allow the enemy to take you out of your place. You belong there. You belong. You are a voice. You are a voice, and you are someone that God's going to use at Freedom Church.
Mhm.
He's really going to. The time I step foot in that church, I see growth every time
Yeah.
I come, and
Yeah.
it seems like your daughter is getting more powerful and
She is. She's
powerful and
walking
powerful.
into yes, she
Yeah,
is.
I'm
She
just
is.
looking at her. I'm
She
just like,
is. It's so funny because
wow.
I had looked at um I looked at a photo of her, well not
Hmm.
a video of her when she had to take over her husband's church, you know,
Hmm.
the bishop had put her in place for her to teach, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, to kind of said, wow.
Hmm.
And I watched her preach from then and
To
where she
now.
is, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
But it's not new for me. This
Yeah.
is something that I have always known.
Hmm.
Where she is
Hmm.
really is what Bishop had
Yeah.
already prophesied into her
Hmm.
life, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um, when she was even pregnant and we all got ordained,
Yeah.
you know, we come from a holiness apostolic Pentecostal
Yeah.
church, right? And we didn't believe in,
Hmm.
you know, being pregnant,
Hmm.
you know, you're not
Yes.
married and all that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff, right? But yet she was pregnant, but the Lord told Bishop
Hmm.
to ordain her.
Yeah.
And that is very contrary to what we believe, the
Hmm.
core of who we are.
Yes.
We don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But I think that is what has, because I walked so close with
Hmm.
Bishop,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, that I learned how to follow after God and
Yeah.
not always
After protocol and
after protocol.
organizational
Right.
disciplines and things of that nature.
No.
Let me end this
Hmm.
with this, because I need you to know this.
Hmm.
Um, what you have um, done is not something that many would do. You're very rare.
Mm.
The reason I say that is because um, there are people that belong in our ministry, but they will not submit because of the age of us and because what they believe they already know, and it didn't happen the way they thought it should happen. They believed that it was supposed to be, but it did not happen the way they thought it should happen. And so they're at other ministries rather than where they belong. And I want to commend you, woman of God, knowing what you know and how God can use you, who you are to God, and even in the difficult places, you have humbled yourself and submitted to your daughter.
Oh, yeah.
You should not take that lightly. You are an example to many that would not do what you are doing right now. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I really want to thank you. I
Thank you.
really want to thank you for your humility.
Yeah.
I really do. Um, thank you for joining me on Roots and Revelation.
Yeah, this is nice. I didn't think you were going to do that today. Lord, what am
I
getting
told you
myself
you was
into?
nervous for no reason that we was just gonna have a conversation. And I want to let you know you've done fantastic. There's so many nuggets that we receive from you, and I am grateful. I am appreciative. Would you help me thank Elder Ball for her participation in Roots and Revelation? God bless you, and for the next time, we'll see you again.
And
Thanks so much for being a part of today's episode of Roots and Revelation. We're just getting started and there's more ahead. Deep conversations, powerful stories, and insight that might help you see things or even your own situation a little differently. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And be a part of what's unfolding here. Your presence matters, and we want you with us every step of the way. And we'll see you next time on Roots and Revelation.
That is the kingdom.